We'll call the meeting to order. It's the June 16th meeting. The first item of we'll note that all commissioners are present, and then the first item of business is the order of business. I'm aware of one change, and that would be an addition to the timetable agenda. That would be scheduled at 6 o'clock, and the topic is local match for the transit study. Are there any other changes to the order of business? If not, the chair would entertain a motion to approve the order of business with the change that I mentioned.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have the motion and the second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The motion carries. Second item then is the consent agenda. Are there any items on the consent agenda you wish to discuss? Not, would there be a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have the motion and the second. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mrs. Stuckert?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Altman?
Aye.
Mr. Jackson?
Aye.
The chair votes aye. So the motion carries. We'll go to the non-timetable agenda. The first item there, item A, is a 40th Street update, and Mr. Colling will introduce that item.
Thank you, Mr. President and Commissioners. As you'll recall, back at the beginning of May, the Commission established a special assessment district for 40th Street. The proposed improvements were water, sanitary sewer, storm sewer, as well as the road surface. Pursuant to Century Code, we did publish the resolution and inform landowners of the potential of a special assessment district. Century Code provides that landowners have 30 days in which to file a written protest of that district. And if the owners of a majority of the land within the district file written protests, it is a bar to proceeding with the improvements described in the resolution. We have done that. We have published the resolution and allowed for the 30-day protest period. In total, there are just over 4.2 million square feet within the proposed district, and we received written protests from landowners comprising just over 2.7 million square feet. That is 65.5% of the total within the district. Since it is a majority, the written protests that are filed are a bar to proceeding with the district, and the resolution in front of you makes that finding that the written protests the city has received are a bar to proceeding. This would be Resolution 35-2014. For your records, I'd be happy to entertain any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Colling. Are there any comments or questions? Mr.
President,
Jackson.
no question about the resolution, but I guess the obvious one, where are we headed moving forward?
Commissioner Jackson, we have had discussions among city staff about what to do. We do think that the improvements that are up there are necessary. It would be a benefit to the city to get them completed. We are looking at the possibility of continuing on or establishing a new district that would just provide for the water and sewer service up there. We had some discussions with our engineering consultant this afternoon about that, as well as whether some portion of the road might be able to get done. I think there's some engineering work that still needs to be done to determine that. And we've got some staff work to do to put together a sort of plan C as we move forward. But we do think there are opportunities for us to continue on with the improvements, and we've just got to put a little time and thought into the best way to do that.
Okay. I don't know what the rest of the commission thinks. I'm glad to hear that. I think we should move forward with water and sewer. I think the plan we had was really reasonable. Disappoints me that we are where we are with it right now. But regardless, I do think we should proceed with water and sewer in 40th at least. So be anxious to hear what you guys come back with.
Other comments or questions?
With this special assessment district failing, if we go the route where we go up with the water and the sewer, do we create another one involving the entire district farther north of this one?
Commissioner Steiner, we would need to create a new district. Since the protests were filed, this district is protested out. We can't continue with the improvements that are described in that resolution or in that district. We will, I think, bring a new district to you. We haven't determined exactly what the boundaries of that district will be yet, whether it includes everyone along 40th and the properties to the north or some smaller segment of those properties.
Can that one be challenged by square footage then, or?
Under Century Code, for water and sewer only districts, there is no protest period. So we could run that district and let those special assessments be established without the protest period and without allowing for
We can say that we
landowners.
need this for the city, for the health, safety.
Correct, for a life safety issue to provide fire flows and those sorts of things, it does not allow for a protest period.
Thank you.
But that's just water and sewer.
That's correct, and only for sanitary sewer, it would not include storm sewer. And that's one of the issues that we need to talk through with our engineering consultants.
So would water and sewer still be able to go in this year, are we thinking? Or
Yeah, I really don't know at this point. I think it may be a stretch to get all of that done, given the timeframes that we have. But I think as staff, we recognize the importance of the project, particularly to some of the landowners up there, and want to move forward as expeditiously as possible.
Well, I guess I would second what Commissioner Jackson said and would encourage you to follow his recommendation. We do have a resolution here that we need to act on. As Mr. Colling said, it's Resolution 35-2014. Is there a motion regarding this resolution?
Mr. President, move to approve Resolution 35-2014.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have the second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, then we'll vote. Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Jackson?
Aye.
Mr. Altman?
Aye.
Mrs. Stuckert?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, so the motion carries. We'll go to item B. These are issues revolving right-of-way acquisitions, and Attorney Colling will also introduce this item.
Thank you, Mr. President and Commissioners. As you are aware, the city is in the process of designing and providing for the construction of 21st Street West from State Avenue to 30th Avenue West. We do need to acquire some right-of-way along that proposed road, and 3 of the parcels along 21st Street are owned by the state of North Dakota through the NDSU Agricultural Extension Office. Pursuant to state policy, we did have those parcels appraised to determine their value, and the state is willing to convey those parcels to the city at their appraised value. There are 2 memoranda of offer provided for your consideration. The first one is for parcel 1-1. It is approximately 2.5 acres on the south side of 21st Street. It is appraised at $110,700. And then on the north side of 21st Street, there are 2 state parcels, parcel 6-1 and 6-2, approximately 3.25 acres. And those parcels appraised at $145,800. City staff recommend the approval of these right-of-way acquisitions. And if approved, these offers will go to the state of North Dakota for their approval and consent. Be happy to take any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Colling. You've heard his report and their recommendation. Are there comments or questions? And would you be paying for these out of project funds for 21st Street?
Mr.
We-
President, that is the intent, is to
Okay.
make this as a project cost.
And are we carrying that project right now on our capital list? what priority is it, and what number are we carrying it at?
21st Street, Commission President, is item number 23. And we've
Okay.
allocated a little bit under $9 million in total cost for that project.
So about 9 million.
Mhm.
And we haven't started any design engineering on that, have we?
Yeah, we have.
Mr. President, yes, we have KLJ is in the process of designing that road.
And is KLJ aware that that site, that land on the south side of 21st Street is one of the sites under consideration for the new middle school?
You know, I have not had that conversation with them. I believe they are aware of the potential school sites, but we can make certain that they are aware of that.
Yeah, my concern is, you know, with the school site out there, I don't know what we're thinking or North Dakota DOT is thinking, but, you know, a rural section type design I don't think would be appropriate there. And I'm not sure how many lanes you'd be looking at, but if, for example, if it's a 2-lane street, we would need significant turning lanes, you know, for school. And I suspect there has to be access to the school site both from 21st and from 30th Avenue on the west side.
President Johnson, currently there's a 5-lane section road on 21st. I think our intention is to build 3 lanes of that originally with curb and gutter on the southern portion of that roadway until development occurs north of 21st Street.
And using one of the lanes for turn lanes then?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Yeah, you know, I don't think we will know till sometime next year whether or not the school district can acquire that land for, you know, for a building site. I believe that's their preferred site, but this will likely take legislative action too. But I think we have to design assuming that there's going to be a school in there, at least be prepared for that. So, sounds like you are. So, good. Any other comments or questions? Okay, would there be a motion regarding either the approval or disapproval of these right-of-way acquisitions? And Mr. Colling, do we have to take them one at a time?
Mr. President, you would need one motion for the parcel 1-1 and a separate motion for parcel 6-1 and 6-2.
Okay. So we'll deal with parcel 1-1. Is there a motion regarding this issue?
I'll move we approve the acquisition for 1-1.
Second.
We have the motion and the second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Jackson?
Aye.
Mr. Altman?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mrs. Stuckert?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, so the motion carries. We'll move then to the parcels 6-1 and 6-2.
Mr. President, move to approve.
Second.
We have the motion to approve and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mrs. Stuckert?
Aye.
Mr. Jackson?
Aye.
Mr. Altman?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, so the motion carries. Go to item C. This is a mineral lease regarding some city property. Mr. Kessel will introduce this item.
Thank you, President Johnson and Commission. The mineral lease is regarding land that we own on the southwest portion of the community. Just for reference purposes, it is the land that has the fire training site on there and just adjacent to the cemetery on the southwest side. So Sterling Resources contacted the city with an offer to lease mineral rights to that land. We have since negotiated that offer and increased it to what you see today. The pertinent details of that offer is it's a non-occupying lease, which means that there will be no well drilled on site on any of those 160 acres. That well will be off-site, and they would use horizontal drilling to obtain the minerals if there are any underneath. It also would be at $500 per net acre in terms of a lease bonus. I think we started at $100. The term is 5 years. The royalty rate is 3/16, which is an increase from the original offer. And I believe those are the most pertinent details. I should mention that we are able, based on our ordinance, to negotiate a lease because this is under 160 acres. Anything above that, we would have to bid this process out. We still could bid this out if the commission so chose. I did contact Airport Manager Matthew Remenzi because they went through a similar process in the not-too-distant past. He recommends against a bid process. They had negotiated a lease arrangement, went to a bid. They ended up having one bidder, and he believes that was a negative process because it didn't allow the negotiation side. So, but it is up to you as a commission. It is based on the lease that's brought for you. It is our recommendation that you would approve this mineral lease. If there's any questions, I'll try and answer.
Thank you, Mr. Kessel. You've heard his introduction and recommendation. Comments, questions?
What was the first, like they have 5 years here, what was the first offer they made?
Commissioner Dukart, the term has not been under negotiation. They offered 5 years. We did not try to negotiate something less or more than that. The only things that changed were the lease bonus and the royalty rate, and we negotiated for a short period of time with regards to which oil play they were going to go after.
Because my leases are 3 years. Because they still can extend that beyond those three. So this would be 5+ if they want to. I'd recommend shortening the term, but I don't know what everyone else feels like.
Thank you for your comments. Other comments? I believe you'll know within 3 years whether or not this lease proves out. You know,
I think that's an accurate statement. And I do believe that the majority of mineral leases are either 3 years or 5 years. So there's legitimacy to both.
Other comments?
If you're looking for a motion, Mr. President, I'd move that we accept this lease.
We have the motion and the second to approve the mineral lease. Other discussion? If there's no other discussion, then we'll vote. Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Jackson? Mr. Altman?
Aye.
Mrs. Dukart?
No.
Chair votes aye. The motion carries. Do item D, that's the Human Resource Monthly Journal Report, and Mrs. Nominick will give that.
Good morning, or good afternoon, Mr. President, Commissioners. The hiring journal, police officers, again, we are still looking for police officers. We just went through the last round of interviews and we have one offer out there, and we're going through the background phase right now. We opened the position again because we did not have enough candidates, so we will be scheduling interviews again real soon for the rest of those positions. We had approval for an animal control officer for this year for a second position. We have one person currently in that role, and we'll have 2 full-time positions, and we'll be doing interviews this week for that position. There was a 2 senior patrol officer internal promotions. We did fill both of those internally. Sanitation operator, a little bit of a struggle, as you know, with those operator positions. Sanitation operator, we went through one whole interview phase and were not successful in hiring. We reopened the position and we'll be doing interviews on that one. Street maintenance operator, we still are kind of holding off on that one with advertising. Water utility operator, we had one for the utility operator position. We did fill that position, but the wastewater plant for operator and chief operator have been difficult for us to get applicants. So we're gonna try something a little more creative with our advertising and where we're advertising and see if we can't draw some candidates for that. Property appraiser, we did fill one of the positions for property appraiser, and I'll be redoing job descriptions. We had approval for a position higher than that. I need to get going on creating a job description so we can get that position hired. I have opened a property appraiser technician. The person that was in that position took another internal position within the city. So we have a property appraiser technician that we will be doing interviews this week on as well. Public Works hired an admin assistant. So that person was hired a couple weeks ago, I think, has started. As you know, the Deputy City Administrator for Finance and Administrative Services, we are in the second phase on that position. Our second interview, we did go through that and still kind of waiting on the answer for that. Museum Assistant, we will be doing interviews real soon on that. We had to go through scoring. We had quite a number of applicants for that position, some very good qualified applicants. Librarian, we just held interviews for that last week and are in the process of making an offer for the librarian. That one will be mainly driving the bookmobile and that sort of a position. And mechanic, we opened the position. We had one applicant, and we're going to have to reopen the position. It's been tough to get applicants for that position as well. Any questions on the hiring journal?
You said you're still looking for police officers. How many are you looking for?
I think we're at 2 or 3 openings at this time. Seems like it changes every time I open it, so I'm not real sure what the number is, but
What is making it difficult for the wastewater plant operator? Is that requiring a type of biology degree?
well, you know, and nothing different than our other operators. It's the same job description. I'm not sure why we're not getting candidates.
Are we requiring a degree?
It's preferred, you know, for the operator, they don't have to have the degree. They need wastewater certification, but that's something they can acquire throughout time working for us. So it is not required upon hire for an operator.
What's the salary that we're projecting for that?
For an operator, they make right around 19 to $20 an hour to start.
58 to 60,000.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question too, Mrs. Nomadic. On the police department now, they make less than the sheriff's department, right?
You know, I am not real sure what the salary is at the sheriff's department at this time. Maybe Chief
He just stepped out.
Singer would know that better than I would.
Because I think we're competing with them, because that's when we lose the policemen, they go to the sheriff's department because they're getting a higher salary. He's now here, we can ask him.
I think, if I may, Commissioner Dukart, generally, the county does have an initial higher salary than the city does. Because of our grade and step system, we tend to catch and surpass them very quickly. So within your second or third year, it's generally better financially from a payroll perspective to be a city employee.
So is it the initial hiring part that we can't get them because the salary's too low? There's got to be a reason.
You know, I'm not real sure that's what it is. You know, we go through a very stringent hiring process. They have to go through a background phase. It's not so much that they're turning us down, but, you know, we're very careful that we're hiring the right people for the job. So I wouldn't say that, I mean, if you look at the report, it's not that we're having people withdraw or people that are refusing the offer.
Okay. I know they have long hours and they're good. Because
Mhm.
time you read the paper, there's almost a full page.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yes.
The, for the wastewater operator, you said starting pay was like $18 to $20 an hour?
Yeah, it's $16.91, and then they get the $2.50 skill-based pay if they have the CDL or once they receive the CDL.
Yeah, and-
That's not the chief's, excuse me, that's
Not the chief,
chief's
that's the
position.
operator.
okay, what about the
The
chief?
chief, that starts out at $22.84 plus the $2.50, so, you know, anywhere right around $25 an hour,
Okay.
depending on experience.
Yeah, and a position like that, we pretty much have to recruit somebody from outside the area, and I think the issue, of course, is the high housing costs.
Yes. Mhm.
President Johnson, if I may too, we looked at that position originally as maybe a manager versus one of our listed jobs as a wastewater chief, thinking that maybe it would score more points and bring it at a higher level. But it is a Class 4 certification, the top certification for wastewater. And we have advertised in a lot of associations. We are trying to get the word out for that position, but maybe we do need to look at a different position than just the chief, because it is quite a substantial plant and process.
Yeah, this is something much more sophisticated than the city presently has to operate. When you look at other cities that operate plants of comparable size, would this compensation level be commensurate with theirs?
Go ahead.
You know, I guess Shelley maybe knows more of this area, but, you know, through the associations, through American Water Works Association and Water Environmental Federation, you know, plant managers, you know, they're starting about this salary. Some are higher depending on how many, the MGD, of course, a bigger plant. But as far as activated sludge plant, this is a smaller activated sludge plant. You know, I would say that because of the cost of living here, that's what is affecting it. Might be somewhat similar in other areas, but the cost of living isn't the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that is correct. Whatever websites we advertise on, I would go through and look at what other cities are paying for similar positions, and we were really right in the ballpark for salary, but
Well, we probably have to be just outside the ballpark, I would guess. And,
I
you know,
agree.
we have to fill this position. I mean, we're investing along with related pump stations and lift stations over $50 million here. We need to operate it. So it seems to me you have two choices. One, you have to increase your compensation, or you have to look for an outside firm that we would contract with. My guess is if we contract with a firm to come in and operate it, you know, you're going to pay a significant higher cost than what you're thinking you're paying now. But, I mean, that plant is due to come online in a few months. So I'd encourage you to be even more aggressive than what you've been here in trying to fill that position.
Mr. President, rethinking my number that I said here, 60,000, that isn't it.
No,
If it's 19 to 20, we're looking at 40,000. 60
That's-
would be our cost with benefits more than likely, but,
Oh.
yeah.
No, it's-
We're gonna find it difficult to fill that for 40,000.
Yeah. It may be a small sludge plant as far as these plants go, but it's a big deal for us, and it's a big investment. And we've got a refinery out there expecting that this is going to work, and so,
And another community.
and another community, South Hart, so.
President Johnson, I believe the plant will work. I did talk
Okay.
to Apex Consulting. And they are helping quite a bit with startup for the couple months. We are doing some processes and startup soon on some of the equipment. But we did have that. I did have that discussion today on them helping at least train. If we didn't bring in like a seasoned veteran as far as the plant, that they would be willing to train for quite a long time, and with the process control and the lab. So I think we do have a backup for the first couple months of trying to get the plant running
Okay,
and through the fall.
good. Anything else for Ms. Nominick? All right.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thanks.
It's 5 o'clock. We have timetable agenda items now, and the first one has to deal with the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library, and we're going to hold a public hearing, so we'll declare the public hearing open, and the commission is considering funding from the 30% sales tax and the hospitality sales tax up to $8 million over a multi-year period. So if anyone from the public would like to comment regarding this issue, you may do so now. Just come to the podium, state your name, and we'll hear your comments. I recognize some supporters in the room, so what I would do is invite, if there's anyone who does not support the funding of the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library, why don't we let you come to the podium and we'll hear your comments. Is there anyone? All right, there's no one that is opposing it. Is there anyone that's supporting it that would like to add some additional comments that haven't already been said? Well, while you're thinking about that, I'm going to ask Attorney Colling to tell us about the resolution that's in our binder.
Thank you, Mr. President and Commissioners. The resolution in front of you provides for the city to make a contribution to the proposed Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library. It makes a number of findings on the first page of the resolution, including citations to our Dickinson Municipal Code on the various ways in which our sales and use tax and hospitality tax is dedicated. As you're aware, the 1% hospitality tax is limited by Century Code, and it is limited to projects, capital projects, that will promote tourism or the purchase and improvement or equipping of physical structures, buildings, or properties that are consistent with visitor attraction and promotion. As well, the 30% share of the 1% sales tax is dedicated to capital improvements to enhance the social and economic vitality of Dickinson and the Southwest area. Those are the two revenue streams that the city would be drawing on in order to fulfill this commitment to the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library. As you are aware as well, the state of North Dakota has passed legislation which provided that if $3 million can be raised from non-state funds, the state would grant an additional $12 million for construction of the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library. This would be the 14th presidential library in the United States if it does come to fruition. The resolution finds that a project of this sort would be consistent with visitor attraction and tourism promotion, as well as would enhance the social and economic vitality of the city of Dickinson and the Southwest area. As provided in the resolution, the city would commit to a contribution of $3 million in order to meet the requirements of the state legislation, as well in the event that the state of North Dakota, state legislature did appropriate other significant funds to the presidential library, the city would commit to an additional $5 million in contributions to the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library. As a commission, you would have the ability, through your normal budgeting process, the annual budgeting process, to make the contributions in such annual amounts as you would determine and establish. I'd be happy to take any questions on the resolution if you have them.
Thank you, Mr. Colling. Are there any comments, questions regarding the resolution?
I would just say it's an important first step on our half to be in support of the library. I think it's going to have not only a huge impact on our community, but our state, our local college. And we've seen through the past that we've been able to not only fund other projects like the community center, the Badlands Activity Center, Bijou Activity Center, but that we're also able to, at the end of that financing, replenish that money and move on to the next hallmark project that we have for our community. It's been very successful up to this point, and I think this would be a very good project to move forward on.
I agree with you, Commissioner Oltmans. Anyway, this will be built on the campus, right? On the DSU campus?
I don't think that's been determined yet. I know the committee was meeting today, and on their agenda was site discussions, but Dr. Costin, did you reach a conclusion that you can announce, or are you still studying?
Mr. President, members of the commission, there are several sites still under consideration, and the consulting group that we engaged is still looking at those, how it would affect visitorship, ease of people getting to them, and those sorts of things. And they will be doing additional study after the conversations today.
Thank you.
Attorney Colling, I have a quick question, sorry, Mayor. When I'm reading through the verbiage in here, part of the verbiage does say that the presidential library would be built within the city. And so is that one of our contingencies to the financing, or does that have any weight to it?
Well, the contingencies that you wish to place on the contribution are at your discretion. I think from the perspective of the resolution, it anticipates that the project would be built somewhere within the city limits of Dickinson. I think that's going to happen eventually, just because of the need to provide services, water and sewer services and transportation networks to the facility. So whether that's the city as it exists now or a property that would be annexed into the city, I think eventually it'll have to be somewhere within our city limits.
Okay.
See, my question was, too, I was thinking, because you could have classes, you could do research, symposium. I think it's important that it stays on the university somewhere, whether it's in the pasture or whatever. We have a lot of open territory there, and I would like to see it built there.
Okay. Anybody else have, are you aware of all the sites that are being considered? I think, if memory serves me right, they had about 12 sites that were being considered. I believe 4 or 5 of those sites right now are probably more desirable than the remaining. But I guess if you as a commission want to weigh in your opinions on site selection, if you've studied the issue at all, go ahead.
I just think it's important that it's built within the city, and Matt satisfied my answer on that.
Yeah, I think a building of this size and importance, to put it outside the city limits, you know, they'd be taking too much risk just for fire protection alone. Plus, we wouldn't give them $8 million.
Exactly.
Right. No, we certainly want to see the building within our city, and I think there's some excellent site opportunities here in our city too.
Well, I know when I give tours, too, people always want to see the campus. They always say, "Where's your university campus?" You know, so it's important that I think DSU needs a boost too.
Yeah. I was able to sit in on a portion of their meeting this morning, and I would guess probably caught half or a little less than half of their site discussion. And it was interesting that one of the presenters had photos of several of the presidential libraries that exist, and I would say roughly half, or maybe slightly more than half, were on university campuses, but not all were. And so it looked like, you know, you can kind of go either way on this. It probably depends upon the community and depends upon the sites that are available. It looked to me like the ones that have been built more recently, they have tried to locate them like closer to an interstate where there's visibility from the interstate.
Mr. President, I'm not sure our purpose tonight is to pick a site or come down one way or the other on a site. I think what's important here is that we continue to recognize that while this will be a tourist attraction, and that justifies the expenditure of our dollars, that we've got to remember that this needs to be a good additional footing for our university. This has got to be an academic facility first, as far as I'm concerned. I think it can make a huge difference in recruiting students, staff, whatever it may be. And if that is used as a guideline as we select site, I think that'll take care of it. I see a lot of pluses for having it on or near campus, a lot of pluses for that. Not sure that I'm informed enough to weigh in more than that, but I do feel really strongly that we've got to remember that while the tourism part is important, this really needs to be a university facility. Our community needs DSU to be strong, and this can be a big part of it.
DSU is strong. They've come a long ways, and they also always come out of whatever work. We have had trouble in the past, they always come out of it.
Other comments? Okay, well, we have a resolution in front of us. I'm assuming it's Resolution 36?
Yes, that's correct, Mr. President.
36-2014. Is there,
I'll move we approve the resolution.
I'll second.
we have the motion and the second. Is there other discussion? Any other discussion? I didn't formally close the public hearing, excuse me. Is there anybody again from the public that wishes to comment? All right, the public hearing is closed. We have a motion and a second before us. Any final discussion here? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Jackson?
Aye.
Mr. Altman?
Aye.
Mrs. Stuckert?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. We have time to squeeze in the job descriptions. Now, Dr. Costin, last time we sent money over to the university, we sent it over to the Badlands Activity Center, and doggone it, you changed the name on us to the Bijou Activity Center. Now, you're not going to do that with the TR Library, are you, sir?
Mr. President, members of the commission, thanks for the commentary. Every thought that came up in your discussion today occurred, or this evening occurred during the discussion today, and has been part of it for months. Specifically to the president's comment, I don't believe there's anyone anticipating a name change for the 26th president of the United States. So I think you can rest assured it will say Theodore Roosevelt.
Well, we should have thought of the Bijou Activity Center first. That is a better name, so. All right, well then, let's work on these job descriptions. And Mr. Kessel will introduce those items, item E.
Thank you, President Johnson and Commission. There are 2 job descriptions to discuss this evening. The first is a fire marshal position. That position currently is titled Fire Prevention Specialist. When the change occurred is to come in line with what traditionally other cities have called this position. When the fire department gets calls, it's oftentimes the request is to the fire marshal. For the person in charge of your code's compliance or code interpretation, they ask for the fire marshal. So first of all, the name change is rudimentary. It's simply coming into compliance with what is more traditional in our state and in our nation. The other, when we applied compensable factors format to this position, and we've almost got all the positions now applied, it does change its grade to a grade 10. Which does mean that it's slightly higher on the pay scale. Because this is a exempt position, it means that there'll be no change to the individual salary who is occupying this position, but in the course of time, it could. It would raise the top end of that pay scale itself. So there would be no immediate change in pay, but there could be down the road. I believe the individual occupying this position is about halfway through the pay scale itself. So I don't anticipate a financial change for quite some time. That actually would conclude my report on the fire marshal. I assume you want to take these one at a time. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. Unless there's any questions, I'll entertain them now.
Any comments, questions? Is there a motion regarding this request?
I'll make a motion to approve the job description change to fire marshal.
Is there a
Second.
We have the second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Stuckert?
Aye.
Mr. Altmans?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Jackson?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. We'll let you do the second one, and then we'll go back to the timetable.
Thank you, President Johnson. The next is a records clerk supervisor. This is the same job title. There is no change recommended there. We applied the compensable factors format to this job description, also resulting in a change in grade. This is a non-exempt position, so it does get paid hourly. The change in grade would result in a slight increase in pay for the person occupying this position. Roughly, we've guessed that there'll be about a $700 difference from this point to the end of the payroll period in December, end of the year. So not a big change at all. As was pointed out earlier this evening, the records department is expanding. As you can imagine, the calls for service have been expanding tremendously for the police department, and this is the position that kind of coordinates all the written and electronic data to support the police department. So unless there's any questions, that would conclude my report for this evening with a recommendation to approve.
Any comments or questions? Is there a motion regarding this request?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have the motion and the second. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Altman?
Aye.
Mrs. Stuckert?
Aye.
Mr. Jackson?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. We'll go back to the timetable agenda, and we'll hear the annual report from the Dickinson Convention and Visitors Bureau and their director, Terry Thiel. Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, each year we do an update to you, and I think you have in front of you, or we're mailed a annual report that we put together. It's a little bit later getting out this year, but it does recap the things that we did last year, how some of the different industries fared. I'll just go through this quickly, and we can go through some other things. Obviously, you see we were named the Livability #1 small town for 2013, and I think that's added to a lot of the different information that we can put out for different things for the community. Also, you see underneath activities and projects, we're very active during the legislative session in a couple different ways. We did help last year put some things together for Southwest Night at the legislature. Our Destination Marketing Association is active. We put up a tourism hallway booth each time the session starts. We also on the sideline have the North Dakota, or excuse me, Tourism Alliance Partnership, and I'm on the executive committee for that. So we monitor quite a bit of the bills that would be going through, and I do a lot of testimony. The Old 10 Scenic Byway was named North Dakota Organization of the Year for 2013 last year, and our office is very involved with that. And then also last May at the library, we hosted informational day with North Dakota Tourism to educate people on how to enter their information on their website. That was a brand new website for tourism, and how those partners in our area can take advantage of the co-oping and free advertising. We do community information folders each year. They're resource folders, and we provide about 75 of those that we change out for new information to the hotels, restaurants, attractions, and those are delivered. And then as a side note, obviously we keep posting new information and bringing it when they run out, such as the tear-off maps. Amy Kruger from the Williston CVB and I traveled this past June last year and did somewhat of a media tour ourselves, going through Jamestown, Fargo, Grand Forks, Devil's Lake, and such. And we met with them, did some TV and radio interviews on some of the availability now that is out here for lodging on the entire western half of the state. We'll probably be doing that again here coming up in July. Marketing images, we did a new mobile website, and so that's going to help people get on to be able to see things much easier on their smartphones and such. And then we also did some upgrades to our homepage that included primarily for the social media viewers for Facebook and Twitter. We also do each year kind of a community awareness program, so they know what we do here locally in town, because it's really our people that we need to help put on the meetings and the conventions. We break it down to meetings, conventions, information on the event, grant program, and then also some of the different things that our office can help with. So we do a little bit of radio and television with that. Last year we did some brochure racks that we placed into the hotels too, and we provided that free of charge. Some obviously have their own and have their specifications for franchises, but we provided those. We also do some energy tours and booklets, and have helped with some groups with setting up tours and provide some information with that. We also have Al the Pumper, which is in front of the office, and we have a Facebook page for that. J1 Workers, we've been working with the restaurants and hotels on the temporary work situation with the U.S. State Department. We met with them twice last summer, demonstrating how some of the different local employers are complying and going above and beyond the expectations for some of these students. We had the Bakken Construction Summit also. I spoke at that. We do international writers and different writers for hosting for FAM tours, and get quite a lot of dollars back as far as if you look at the media exchange on that. We work with the T.R. Roosevelt Expressway Association also and attend meetings. Downtown Conference, of course, Sean and I think a few more from Dickinson had attended that. That was held in Bismarck also last year. Each week we do a hotel availability form that goes out, and it's placed on our website and goes back to the hotels, so each one of those can make sure that if they have rooms that are full, that they can refer them over to maybe another hotel. Youth Leadership, I work with the Chamber with that, with the youth each year. Downtown Dickinson Association, we've been helping them with some events. We do a calendar of events, of course. We have a gift shop. And then our lobby, right now what we do is starting the first part of, about the middle of May until Labor Day, we're open 7 days a week. We have the first line person that will be there and help out. And then on the weekends until November 1st too. You'll see here our salesperson works with the different conventions and meetings and groups with that. And then the different ones that have been helped with us individually for, whether it be a reunion or sporting groups or whatever. We've got some updates on the industry, where the room count was. Last year we were at 1,350 rooms, or excuse me, in 2012, and then last year at 1,632 rooms. We've had an increase with that. The occupancy went from 2012 at 82.8% to last year dropping to 63.9%. And the average daily rate has also decreased. We work with the airport. You'll see in there with the Theodore Roosevelt Airport, we are putting a touch screen kiosk out there. And so what we'll be doing is feeding our information from our computer, our website, into that. And it'll have 8 different places that you can touch on there for information: lodging, dining, weather. We'll be putting flight information on there, events, and transportation and such. So we're just about finished with that. Information on some of the restaurants, of course, and then you can see some of the things we do for marketing publications. We have gone into digital marketing quite a bit now, and we've been following the Tourism Division co-op programs with that. So that has been, I think, probably one of the other avenues that's grown quite a bit the last couple of years. And of course, our tear-off maps that we do, about 30,000, they're probably the most popular piece of paper at the restaurants and different things to get around. And our guide to the city, we do approximately 20,000 of those. And the billboard, you'll notice, has been out on exit 61. We did change that up a little bit last fall, to say that rooms are available and to spread the word. Now, in May, we switched it back over for visitor information for people that are traveling, so they know where our office is at. And the hunting, different things that we're involved in, information on the grant program. And then in the back, we have the financials. We have a little bit on there also for visitor inquiry on different things and different statistics on that. We also list then the goals and strategies for this year, as we do each year. And then during our board retreat, we recap and see where we're at with that, what was done, what wasn't, and what we can look forward to for the next year. So that really is what is our annual report. We have done a little bit of a change. I think that you can see in the front, we've kind of freshened up a few things, whether it's the font and the logo and some of the different colors for our advertising. So that will continue. I think everybody probably in a newspaper had gotten the North Dakota Legendary newspaper insert that went into North Dakota, South Dakota, Manitoba, Saskatchewan. There was over 2 million of these that were distributed, and then on the back it will show what we did for our ad this year. Each year we take out about a half a page ad with that. So we're going with a little bit of different color and look to things. It doesn't change a lot, but it's probably more of being just refreshed. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Any comments or questions for Ms. Thiel? Can you tell us a little bit about last year's hunting season? Did it appear to be up, down, about the same, the hunting traffic?
I think the last 2 years, actually, if you look at it, it has decreased. It's a variety of reasons, but I think the most impact that's occurring is the loss of the CRP program. There's pockets around here where people really haven't had any problems at all, but South Dakota has also suffered quite a bit. And then, of course, when you look at the different weather conditions for some of the past few years, but it has decreased. And I would have to say now, coming up this next, some of the different advertising we've decreased for this year until maybe we can get back into something that would be a little bit more stable on some numbers and predictable. For 2 years also, it was some of the hotel availability. So I think we had several things that were coming together, but it has been a decrease for that. We have seen an increase last year in some of the leisure travel, though. I did some polling for the hotels, and we started to see, too, that some of that is starting to come back. So, but the hunting has decreased.
Okay. Other comments or questions? All right. Well, thank
Okay.
you for being here.
Mhm. Thank you.
It's 5:30. We have a 5:30 agenda item, and that's to hear a report on the railroad quiet zones, and Bob Swanson from Rainey Engineering is here, so welcome.
Thank you, President Johnson and City Commissioners. I'm Bob Swanson with Ronnie Engineering. I'm here this afternoon to provide an update on the City Quiet Zone Assessment Report, as well as describe the next steps necessary for implementation of a quiet zone in Dickinson. You may recall our presentation last winter when our design partner Rick Lane of SRF Group explained some details associated with the quiet zone rule. The rule is the tool administrated by the Federal Railroad Administration, the FRA. And with this rule, a city can accomplish improved safety at roadway rail crossings, as well as minimize the impacts of train horn noise throughout the community. Our assessment started last October with the diagnostic phase of the study. That diagnostic involved meetings with primary stakeholders and a visit to each site, each crossing under consideration. Their feedback was documented, distributed to those involved, and incorporated into our study. Over the past couple of months, the report has been completed and contains a combination of safety measures for each crossing, as well as the physical limits of the proposed quiet zone. For your information, the crossings included from west to east are 114th Avenue, 30th Avenue, State Avenue, 3rd Avenue East, 6th Avenue East, and 10th Avenue East, otherwise known as Livestock Lane. This information has been presented to the county, and these limits are believed to be the most effective and functional locations for the train horns to be silenced. On a side note, the FRA evaluates proposed quiet zones using a risk analysis calculation, which determines current conditions with horns to proposed conditions without horns while evaluating against a national average. The recommendations in the report conform to the FRA standard rules and show the proposed risk index well below the current risk index numbers, as well as below the national average. As a point of record, each public crossing must have gates, flashing lights with power out indicators, and constant warning time detectors. Our report also proposes improved pavement markings, some signage for the motorists, and non-traversable curved medians, creating a blend of supplemental and alternative safety measures. Also included are planning level construction costs and conceptual designs for each crossing. Finally, the notice of intent was recently sent to the state as well as to the FRA and BNSF. The notice of intent is an easy step, however, it's a required step of the process. There's no obligation associated with the NOI or a timeline associated with the NOI. The notice of intent was included in our scope, and it basically gives a chance for the railroad to comment early in the process. The next steps are to analyze any comments received from the notice of intent, initiate the design phase of the project, and make a formal application to the FRA. Design can initiate during the application phase, and as soon as approved, the construction could begin. After the project is complete, a site meeting with stakeholders will be necessary, and then a submittal of the notice of establishment. 21 days after the notice of establishment, the routine sounding of horns can be ceased. We are hoping that this project is included in the 2015 city's construction season. By implementing a quiet zone here, we can expect an improved quality of life for residents, business owners, even new residents and new business owners. Fargo, Moorhead, Castleton, Grand Forks, Minot, and Medora have recently implemented quiet zones, while others in the region are currently working through the process. We believe that new businesses are filling the business districts of these cities, and that's partially due to the more livable conditions associated with the quiet zone. The city will be required to provide updates every 3 years to the FRA stating that the quiet zone is still in place and functional. With that, I can take some questions unless Sean or Craig may have something to add to what I've stated.
Mr. President,
Mr. Steiner.
Mr. Swanson, I know the last time you guys were in, we had kind of a dollar amount for the crossings and so on. But you mentioned State Avenue. We shouldn't have to consider State Avenue with the overpass.
State Avenue is a free benefit to the quiet zone project. We get 100% benefit from that as being a grade separation within the quiet zone itself. We're starting west of it and we're ending east of state. That project has no dollar impact to the quiet zone itself. What I listed were 5 crossings, and that first presentation, we were showing a very expensive treatment of 10th Avenue East at Livestock Lane, which involved double gates on each side of the tracks. That was an extreme cost item. Since then, we have reevaluated and re-looked at how to channel the traffic with shorter raised medians and simply moving one of the down gates out to accommodate a little bit, a minor widened roadway through that area. In fact, kind of a flare on the south side for the traffic to enter the crossing itself. That crossing went from roughly $1 million to an estimated $155,000 by eliminating the what we were showing as the first scenario, double gates on both sides. So that one is did you ask about the entire project?
No, we mentioned State Avenue
Okay.
as a location.
Okay.
But we aren't going to have that location once the overpass goes through. So we should not have to include that in any of our studies.
If I could take a shot at this, Commissioner Steiner, we want that particular intersection to be included because we get rated based on the safety measures of each of them. And that one would be by far our best rated intersection. So that will then, we have to achieve a certain average once you rate all of the intersections. And because that one will be rated so high, that'll give us room to do certain measures like Mr. Swanson has mentioned on 10th Avenue East. We've been able to lower our costs and our engineered measures to lessen the cost of the construction, but it also means we're not going to get 100% rating. So it's really important that we continue to include states within the project itself so that it can be included in the safety rating as a total.
But we're not going to do any additional construction on it other
Correct.
than the overpass. And I
That's
think
correct.
that's what Mr. Steiner's concern was, but,
That's correct.
yeah.
Yes.
No additional treatments because it's within a quiet zone.
Yeah.
It-
Other comments or questions?
I do have a couple other comments in addition to what Mr. Swanson said. We do have this project slated as priority number 27 on our list. We are carrying a cost of just over $1 million with relation to the design and implementation that Mr. Swanson has outlined for you. This is a partner project with the county. As he mentioned, we did present that to the county. They have 2 intersections that are immediately outside of our city limits on the west side. They are willing to make those improvements, or at least that's what they mentioned at the committee meeting. And then we would split the cost of improvements at 10th Avenue East. There is some debate on whether or not that intersection is actually inside our city limits. So rather than parse the division of that intersection specifically, we agreed to just split it right down the middle. So we think it's a fair application. So out of the 5, there's 2.5 in the city, 2.5 in the county. Is that accurate?
That's accurate, yes.
Anything else? Well, thank you for the update, and I know our citizens are looking forward to this project being completed. There's a lot of trains going through Dickinson now, and they blow their whistle a lot.
Yeah, I've heard excitement around the community, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, well, we're going to go down to the non-timetable agenda. The next item is financial report, and Mr. Kessel, you will be presenting that.
Thank you, President Johnson. The financial report has been included in your packet for your review. Again, we are remaining, as you heard this evening, Ms. Nominuk mentioned that our Deputy City Administrator candidate will be here on the 18th, which is just in a couple days, to tour our community and conclude our second interview process. We're very hopeful that that will result in an acceptance of the position and a beginning date for Mr. Crane. Up until that point, we have had our internal accountant, Denise Bresden, filling out the financial reports, and I'll be happy to try to take any questions that you have and answer them at a later date.
At the time the report was filled out, we must not have received notification of the sales tax collections for May. Do you happen to know those numbers at this point?
President Johnson, I have to admit I did not check those numbers before I came today, but I will do that and provide those to you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions regarding the financial report? Hearing none, would there be a motion to approve the report?
I'll make
So
a
moved.
second.
We have the motion and the second. Any other discussion? Not, we'll vote. Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mrs. Stuckert?
Aye.
Mr. Altman?
Aye.
Mr. Jackson?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Good. Item G, liquor license edition. Mr. Kessel, it's your report.
Thank you, President Johnson. We have been approached by Come and Go to recognize an additional limited liquor license. We have recently auctioned off a similar license, and they were part of that auction, but were not the eventual recipient of the liquor license. They would like the city to recognize a population gain of 3,000 people and thereby issue another liquor license. We've been in contact with Come and Go particularly, and there may be a liquor license that's currently issued available, and thereby we wouldn't need to act on this. We'd like some time to further that option with Come and Go and explore that, but we just wanted to make you aware that that request has officially been made, and I don't think there's any action required by the commission this evening.
With the last liquor license we authorized, that we recognize then an official population of what amount?
I believe 21,000.
21,000?
Mr. President, if I could,
Please.
can we summarize the ordinance? The benchmark population in the ordinance, I think, is 17,000?
Commissioner Jackson, the benchmark is 18,
18?
and then every 3,000
Okay.
person increment, another on-off sale license could be recognized by the commission.
Okay, so we've only issued a license recognizing one increment.
Correct. I should say the initial ordinance was 15, and then I want to say 2011, 2010, we recognized a new benchmark of 18, and then this is the first license that has been issued since then.
Okay.
So, how many liquor licenses do we have now in this category?
I believe it would be 17 on off sale.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, do you have anything else to report?
I don't. Thank you for your attention this evening.
Well, I think it's close enough to 5:45. We will do the public hearings on rezoning petitions, and before we declare the public hearing open, we'll let Mr. Cretan introduce this item.
Mr. President, Commissioners, the item tonight is for the Public Safety Center building, which is located north of 21st Street West off of State Avenue, approximately 2 blocks to the north. The site is 9 acres. About a month ago, the final plat was finalized, and I believe it's now recorded for the Public Safety Center. This is the rezoning petition that would go from ag, which it is currently, to community commercial. This would allow some flexibility with respect to the design. City staff and the Planning Commission would recommend approval. Mr. President?
Thank you, Mr. Don. Is this ordinance 1555?
Mr. President, yes, that would be correct, 1555.
All right, so at this point, we'll declare the public hearing open regarding ordinance 1555. Anybody who wishes to comment regarding this ordinance may do so now. Just come to the podium, state your name, and we'll hear your comments. Anyone from the public? There's no one from the public that wishes to comment, so we'll declare the public hearing closed. Any comments or questions by city commissioners?
Mr. President, I'll move that we approve first reading of 1555.
Second.
We have the motion and the second. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Jackson?
Aye.
Mr. Altman?
Aye.
Ms. Stuckert?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. So we'll jump back down to the non-timetable agenda. Item 6, under engineering. There's a change order regarding Empire Road and Willer Circle, and Mr. Malsum will present this item.
President Johnson, Commissioners, thanks for allowing us the time to discuss this proposed change order with you. I'll try to be brief, but feel it is important to go over the key elements being addressed and brought forward by this change order. Just kind of a little history of how we got here to this change order. Project was advertised back on the 1st of February. During the bidding process, there was an addendum issued adjusting the payment section. The project was bid on 21st of February. There was both a concrete and an asphalt payment alternate as part of that bidding process. The concrete alternate was low by $74,000, and the project was awarded to Wind Construction. Through discussions, we were asked to look at decreasing the quantities of the shared use path and the sidewalks along both Willer and the west side of Empire. We met with the contractor and they were agreeable to those changes. We then proceeded to put together a change order to reflect those desired changes. During that process, we discovered the concrete pavement quantities that were bid were not correct. We took that information to staff and it was decided we should bring this before the commission so there would not be any surprises. I think the important thing to note that this was a unit price contract, meaning that basically you pay for what's installed. So during the construction process, it would eventually came to light that the quantities weren't correct as we had continued through the construction. So we know that now that the quantity was not correct. We bid concrete and asphalt, and I think through the life cycle analysis, it would indicate that asphalt could easily or conservatively cost an additional $50,000 or $500,000 over a 30-year lifespan. Based upon the change order before you, the final contract price increase is about $16,000, less than 1%. We still feel concrete is probably the correct payment for this particular area. But again, it does change in quantities, it does require it to be considered.
Thank you. Are there any comments, questions?
So the bottom line is 16,505.
Based upon the final contract.
Mr. President,
Mr. Steiner?
I'd move we approve change order number 1.
Second.
We have the motion and the second. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Ms. Stuckert?
Aye.
Mr. Altman?
Aye.
Mr. Jackson?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, so the motion carries.
President Johnson, if I
Yes.
may, I had to step out of the room for a second, and under the Public Safety Center, we have some people here to present the guaranteed maximum price. They have a presentation to make on the Public Safety Center. Sorry, it wasn't specifically noted in your agenda that way, but that was the intent to make that presentation at that time.
Yeah, you don't say that.
No, I was just reading the agenda myself and noticed it wasn't on there specifically.
Okay, well then we will back up and this would be J.E. Dunn. And is this a PowerPoint presentation? Okay.
President Johnson, City Commission, City staff, we are here today. My name is Alan Rapaz, President of Schutzfoss Architects. We are here representing the design team on the project. 3 representatives from J.E. Dunn are here. We are here tonight to present information relative to the GMP, Guaranteed Maximum Price, on this project. We've had a collaboration from late fall through now. We have completed the contract documents on the project. Through this project, we have had a schematic design cost estimate from J.E. Dunn, as well as a 50% and a 75% cost estimate to date. I'm going to turn it over to Mark and Elizabeth, who will talk about the guaranteed maximum price at this point, and then I will come back and I will show you how that guaranteed maximum price fits into the total project cost. So with that, I'll let J.E. Dunn make a presentation.
As it stands right now, the design Al was talking about is at 75% complete. We've bid the project out. We have one more bid package. We split it into 2 bid packages. Bid package 2 will be complete in the end of June, and then we'll bid out the remaining scopes of work. Bid package 1 at 75% drawings was 93% of the project. The remaining scopes of work that you see there are what we have to bid out still. We have placeholders, dollar amounts for those, and that's 7% of the project. So right now, the risk through the 75% drawings of bidding the work out is minimal. We have a project manager here, Elizabeth McKiernan, that's going to be working on the job, and she's just going to go through a couple slides here.
So here's our site logistics plan. So as you can see on the east side off of State, in blue, we have our 2 construction entrances that we're proposing. And between those 2 entrances, we'll have our construction fence. In the other blue box right off of the yellow there is our job trailer where everybody on site will check in. And then our staging area will be in the yellow. We've also noted the dumpsters and the concrete washout. Along the building, we'll have a Class 5 temp access road that we'll use for all construction access and for setting our cranes. And then down in the bottom left, we've got our soil stockpile noted.
With regards to the project, where States Avenue is running there, it's gravel road right now. That's one of the city projects that we'll be working hand in hand with. So with the construction fence there, we've split a portion of the project off so that we're not interrupting each other. And then the road that runs east and west up at the top, that's just a trail right now, almost a section road that runs along a barbed wire fence. That's part of both the States Avenue project and it's included in the Public Safety Center project. We're taking a portion of the work, and the States Avenue project will be taking a portion of the work.
So on the next slide here, we have some of our milestone schedule dates. So we're proposing to start beginning of July, early July. It's about a 12-month schedule, so ending July of 2015. Currently working through construction. As Mark said, we have the 75% set, all bid out, and then we'll bid the remaining 100% once we receive those documents the end of this month. Got the structure completing in December of this year, getting it enclosed in January, working on rough-in and finishes into the spring of next year. And we have the commissioning of the building, testing and balancing, completing April of 2015, all of the final site work completing June of 2015. So we'll have an early site work package that we'll do when we mobilize, and then close out of the project 2015, or July 2015.
Through the collaboration of design with the police chief, fire chief, Schutz Foss, Ross Shepard, and J.E. Dunn doing the pricing exercises, right now the construction cost, including fees, contingencies for the project, construction contingencies for the project, based off them 75% drawings, the number is $14,023,422. The remaining 7% of the project to be bid out, that is included into that project cost. That may fluctuate down. I mean, it's got that covered. Western North Dakota contractors, we had, right now, we haven't awarded any contractors the project yet, subcontractors, but 68.6, almost 70% of the project, if this moves forward, will be contracted directly with Western North Dakota contractors. We sent it out to 25 plan rooms, including 8 North Dakota plan rooms, and over 1,000 contractors, subcontractors received the invites, plans, and specs directly from J.E. Dunn to bid the project. We had on those first bid packages that made up 93% of the project, we had over 150 bidders on just that first section. We anticipate approaching 200 plus bidders on the project. I think Al's going to come up and encapsulate the whole, the total project cost.
I guess what I wanted to do was let you know what the $14,023,000 meant in the big picture. Back in November, in early concept design, Mr. Kessel had asked us to create a total project budget, which we had a low to high range was $15,010,000 to $16,020,000. I'm just going to throw some numbers out here, but the good news is from my standpoint, we are in budget on this project. I did go through everything with Mr. Kessel last week. We had 50% numbers, we had 75% numbers, and I have current fresh numbers at this point as of June 13th. The total project budget at this point, including a $630,000 contingency, is $15,640,000 to $15,760,000. And the reason for that range is that the total project budget includes all fixtures, furniture, and equipment, besides all the bricks and mortar. We have gone through with both Chief Civic and Chief Dassinger and also Mr. Kessel on all the miscellaneous freestanding pieces in the building. So that is within the range. If we take out the contingency, which is not money yet spent, I'm not saying that we don't need to carry a contingency, but bricks and mortar and furniture, fixtures, and equipment, design fees, and everything, we are currently at now $15,037,000 to $15,156,000. So beyond that margin of the budget versus the estimate, I also see, and I've had a discussion with Mr. Civic and Mr. Dassinger and Mr. Kessel, there's approximately $80,000 to $100,000 within the furniture, fixtures, and equipment budget that we have the ability to either accept or hold. There's also some alternates within the project that we have reviewed as a total team that could be in the range of another $150,000. So what we will work with J.E. Dunn is to establish a decision time for all of the alternates, whether they're adds or whether they're deducts, and what's the timeline for a decision on those alternates. So we have lots of coverage for contingencies on this project. So it is a lot of numbers, but I did want to assure the President Johnson and you as city commissioners that I believe we are ready to roll. We have all the required submittal documents to go to the building department tomorrow morning. And I guess with that, I will turn it back to you for any questions, comments. Mr. Kessel, I don't know if there's a required vote or what, but that's our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, and again, apologize, I thought it was kind of a big crowd just to be here for first reading of an ordinance, but any comments or questions by commissioners? Mr. Kessel, what number are you carrying on your worksheet in total for this project?
We are carrying a number, it is, by the way, priority number 5, and we are carrying a $15,150,000 price tag.
And if I heard right, we might, with contingency, we're up pretty close to 15.8 on the high side.
On the high side, yes, that's correct.
Okay.
And do we feel that we are on track for infrastructure to be ready to serve that building by July of 2015?
There's no doubt a concern, Commissioner Jackson, about States Avenue extension. We are actively negotiating with landowners in that area because we do have to acquire right-of-way, and with developers in that area to extend States all the way to 40th is our hope, or somewhere close. So that is a concern. It is one that we have been actively trying to mediate as we move forward.
Well, we have a deadline now, it sounds like.
So on States Avenue, you said you have right-of-way issues at this point?
Yes, we have to acquire right-of-way, specifically on the east side of States Avenue. There's a couple different property owners. We've been in contact with those property owners, and we're working through issues. We also have to annex that land and go through that process as well.
Okay. Other comments or questions? Does this require any action tonight?
Mr. President, it does not require action tonight. We will be bringing back the contract documents with J.E. Dunn, including the GMP addendum, so you will see that at the future meeting, but there's no action required at this time.
Okay. Anything else then? Anything from you? Any more? Okay. Well, again, we apologize for the mix-up. All right. Well, then we are going to go to obsoletely entertaining, a presentation by City Museum Director Dan Ingram.
I will keep it brief, but I do have three papers, so.
Well, don't start talking till you're in front of the mic, okay? So that we can speak.
Okay, for those of you on Channel 19, I have party favors, but they're only for the people who are in the room. I just wanted to bring you up to date with where we are at the Museum Center. We're about to open our new exhibit called Obsoletely Entertaining, which is all about things that were once common and are now obsolete. So everything from button hooks to rotary phones to floppy disks. We're going to have, I think, a lot of fun with this. The people who've looked at the exhibit thus far have had a lot of fun, particularly with families where grandma and grandpa remember things that their grandchildren have no idea about. You know, the classic would be looking at the rotary phone and asking how you text with it. So I think this is an opportunity for us to do a couple of things. One is to have a little bit of fun, and I'm all for that. But secondarily, it gives us an opportunity for us to build our 20th century collections. You know, when you think about a museum, you often think about, you know, the butter churn or the, you know, something from 100 years ago. And what we need to do is be slightly more proactive and start getting some more common things from the late 20th century. One of the things that we had hoped to include in the exhibit but could not find one was a phone booth. Once ubiquitous, once everywhere. Apparently, Mrs. Dukart had them all hauled away, and we'll blame her. And she can explain the backstory on that. So I think it's an opportunity for us to have a lot of fun. And tomorrow we'll be opening with a reception with the Chamber of Commerce from 5 to 7 at the museum. There'll be hors d'oeuvres and drinks, so please do attend. We've also publicly announced now our online digital archive, which we're calling the Southwestern North Dakota Digital Archive at the Dickinson Museum Center. We're sort of Teddy's poor cousin. This is an opportunity for us to take the materials that we've been scanning for the last 2 years, and we now have over 8,000 images online that you can search. So, and what we've been able to do is take the sort of the materials that the TR Center developed about the approach to digitizing and apply those same standards to our little collection. And one of the great things about the TR Center is that we will have a couple of things from our collection that will end up in their digital archive. A couple of photos that we found within our collection are going to be things that I think they'll be interested in having. So I have to say I'm very excited about the development of that, and I have to say, as somebody who was basically new to the community 3 years ago, one of the things that I found attractive about relocating here was the idea that we had something like the TR Center. So we did not have that in Pennsylvania, where I was from, and the other job that I had to choose did not have that in Maine either. So kudos to us, and I can only say that I'm very excited about the potential here and what that will do for tourism and for people's worldview of North Dakota. I still have lots of friends in the rest of the world who think that we're somehow in the backwater, and I think that's absolutely wrong. We have very progressive things going on here, and we have an economy. So, so there's just a couple of other things that I'd like to mention is that we are doing a picnic in the park over the summer. Unfortunately, our picnic on Saturday was rained out, but we'll be having another picnic on July 13th, where we'll have jumpy houses in the park, and the houses or the historic buildings will be open. We'll have ice cream. It'll be lots of fun. Again, family-friendly fun particularly for people who are new to the community or bringing families. We're seeing lots more family visitation of people, so we are getting into that second stage where, you know, first the men come and then they bring their families. So we'll do that on July 13th, which is a Sunday, from 11 to 3. And then August 2nd from 11 to 3 as well, which is a Saturday. So I would encourage you all to come and take a look tomorrow and enjoy the festivities and visit over the summer. Our season has begun.
Thank you, Mr. Ingham. Are there questions or comments here?
I just have a comment. You have such good energy.
Thank you. And in that note, I also think I have to run back to the museum and we have a sound portion of our exhibit, and I think now I have to make the diesel whistle of the train something that we can add to our list of things that are obsolete in our community.
We hope so. You know.
Mr. Ingham, I know it's relatively early in the tourism season, but how do the numbers compare to last year?
I think we're up a little bit from last year. It's been kind of strange this year because of the cold weather getting so far into May, but I think we're seeing numbers that are trending up this year.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I have a hunch that our museum is something that maybe the people living within the Dickinson city limits aren't really utilizing as much as they could and should. Do you have that sense?
Yeah, I think that's true of any museum in America. No one who lives in New York goes to the Statue of Liberty until somebody comes to visit.
Sure.
So I think we see that. We see a lot of traveling visitors who are coming to or from Medora. And I think we've also seen a lot of people who have people who are coming to visit who have relocated here, and now their families are coming either to visit, and you see parents and grandparents coming to visit, or wives and children. And
So for those who are watching us on Channel 19 tonight,
they
really should see what's going on.
9 to 5 daily. And it's free, thanks to all of you. So,
thank you.
Anything else?
President Johnson, I should mention I got a preview of the absolutely entertaining, and it is interesting to see all of simply the storage media going from 16 millimeter to cassettes, 8 tracks, and now even discs almost being obsolete. And someone, if they could, hide Mr. Ingram's Red Bull in the back. That'd be appreciated.
It's just old-fashioned coffee. So, all right.
You think it's time for me to remove my 8-track out of my car?
I'm shocked it's in a car and not your van. I see you as a conversion van driver
Wrecked the van.
with a waterbed. So, another thing that I think is obsolete. So, all right. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. We have the 6 o'clock item, and that's regarding a transit study. And the issue here is a local match, and presenting is Colleen Rodakowski. So welcome.
Good evening, President Johnson and Commissioners. I have a handout. Could I distribute?
Absolutely.
Well, I've been with public transit for 6 years now, and when I did get the job, talk was, why don't we have a fixed route in town? And there's been a lot of discussion the past few years, as well as the 2035 roadmap to the future. There was talk about putting together a fixed route in town. And I believe when I last talked with Administrator Sean Kessel a week or so ago, he said the city's population prediction is a 6% growth every year up to the year 2020. So anyway, several years ago, it's been a couple years, I requested a $100,000 grant with NDDOT, Department of Transportation. Didn't hear anything, kept asking them. They said I needed more to add another $50,000. So I put in a request for $150,000, and I did get that grant awarded to us. I'm very pleased to announce. In order to get this grant of $150,000, I need local match of $37,500, and the total cost of this project is $187,500. The reason we need the planning grant is they will evaluate our city, take a look at the growth, and put together a plan for a fixed route in Dickinson. And today I'm requesting that local match from the city of Dickinson for the $37,500. Public transit, and probably going to be mostly myself, I will invest significant staff hours of work with the consultant company, work with NDDOT. I'll travel down to Minot. Minot recently was awarded a planning grant, and their planning grant has been completed, and now they're looking at the implementation part of it. And I will work alongside Brian and find out a little bit what he has done over down there in Minot, and see what we can use from what they have learned from theirs. And the reason I'm here today is I'd like to secure this match, and my hope is that you can vote on it today or have some discussion. I'd like to see if I can get this local match by the end of June, which is the end of the fiscal year for DOT. There are other places in North Dakota that would like that money. So if we don't want it here, or if it's something that the city is not interested in, which is fine, it's something that I tried to work on. I've been doing it for a couple years. If you guys want something like this and we can get that match, then I can get that grant. If not, there's other entities in the state then they're going to award it to another city. And what I did for you is I just put together an estimated time frame, and I do want to let you know before you look at it, it does look overwhelming. I'm looking at it a 2.5-year project from the start of doing the planning grant to the actually getting a fixed route going. That does sound, I would like to see a year because I want to get it done quick. But I was heavy on the planning side because it just seems in town today, everything we do, you kind of have to times it by 1.5 because it takes longer, just because of how our economy is and the situation of what we're dealing here in Southwest North Dakota. So what I put down is that the biggest step that took the longest for Minot was securing the local match. And I have a wonderful partnership with the city of Dickinson. You guys own our transit building and give us some subsidy in sales tax. So I thought it was just a wonderful partnership for me to see if this is something that you were interested in. The second step, once I secure the match, of course, would be to accept it, to get a contract with the state, and then to go to do a scope of work and an RFP, request for proposal. That will take about 6 to 8 weeks, then advertise the RFP, question answer period, review of proposals, interviewing, all the things you're familiar with all the projects that you're working here at the city. Once we do the review of proposals and the interviewing, we'll get a contract, and then the actual planning study of the grant will take place, and that'll take up to about 9 to 12 months, review the study. So I put approximately 20 months for the planning grant. And of course, it can go faster depending how the steps go. And then I thought I'd give you an estimated time frame to actually implement a fixed route, what steps are needed. And that the biggest thing there will be securing the funding for additional vehicles. We'll have equipment, if we need bus shelters, additional staff, and I will probably would like to work with the DOT for some of that funding as well as the city of Dickinson. And then, of course, work on marketing materials, how we're going to advertise this fixed route, our website, and then, of course, start operating the fixed route. And I put about a year there. And probably the biggest challenge I'm hearing on the implementation part will be the buses. Do we need a 16-passenger cutaway like the ones I have right now at public transit? Do we need a bigger city bus? Those items will come from the scope of the project and the planning grant itself with the consultant firm. What do we need in Dickinson? Okay? So that tells you just a little bit about why I'm here, and I'll entertain any questions if you have.
Thank you. Do we have some questions or comments?
Mr. President, I do know that we've been talking about this, as a discussion over the last few years, and I think it is something that we need to do. I mean, we've been talking about it. I know there's a need for some type of fixed route for not only the elderly, but anybody else that may not have a car to get around. The first thing that comes to mind when you talk about a fixed transportation route is the big bus. And I was on the same thing you were. Maybe you get by with just a cutaway like what you have now. More than likely that's probably what we're going to need, something in that vicinity. We wouldn't need a 30 or 40 passenger bus, I'm guessing. Maybe not for years. But I think it's something we need to do. That'll give us some answers. And I don't know the funding on this. When do they need an answer on this here?
By the end of this month, I think, is when they would like an answer.
I would be in favor of it, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Steiner. Are there other comments, questions? You're still operating the kind of on-demand taxi service, or?
Yes, we are.
If the city continues to grow and we maintain the private taxis or even add more in the community, and this public transit study say is favorable to fixed routes, would you look at maybe redefining your mission of your transportation business more along the fixed routes and for the elderly as opposed to just on demand?
Right now, with that question, I would keep things as we are right now because the need is there. If you go with a fixed route, the way the guidelines are with with the federal government, we still have to have a paratransit. Wherever the fixed route would go in the town, 3/4 of a mile off that fixed route has to have paratransit. Paratransit is the wheelchair capability for any people in the city that need a wheelchair access to get someplace. Some of the fixed route buses still have wheelchair capacities on them, but I think we would still need that because we would still need that.
Yeah.
Because not everybody would go on the fixed route, President.
Right.
Some of them would need to
Yeah,
venture
I
off.
wouldn't- I wouldn't envision
Mhm.
you discontinuing that service. I was thinking more of the traditional.
The taxi?
The taxi part.
Yeah, I think, I think that would be open for entertaining as we went through the scope of the project with the consultant company to take a look at. Right now, I've maintained it a little bit because there are taxis in town, and it seems like we're open till 10 o'clock every night, and some of them are opening after hours, but sometimes we have people who call that say they call some of the other taxis and they're busy. They're out of town working, or they're someplace else and they can't get them right away. So I think public transit is still filling the void of that on-demand. Now, should in the future it change where we're not needed for on-demand taxi rides? Absolutely. Then I would pull back and continue with the pre-scheduled ride that's reduced for somebody which is that other part of our service is pre-scheduled rides.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I, like Commissioner Steiner, I'm in favor of doing this planning study. I think the results will show that there is plenty of opportunity and plenty of demand for this to work now in our community. And I think, your organization is really the right organization to run the fixed routes. And I'm just thinking, 20 months from now, if things have continued to unfold as they are unfolding in our community, you might be able to let go of that more traditional side of the taxi service and leave that for the private sector and concentrate on the fixed routes and routes or the rides needed for the handicapped and the elderly. So. But that remains to be seen. I'm just wondering what you were thinking there. Other comments?
Well, you've given up some of the taxi service business though, haven't you? 'Cause you
Yes,
just
we have. We no longer, we used to be open, we were the only taxi in town several years back, and we were open till 2 in the morning on the weekends to help the bar crowds. We are not operating the bar crowd times any longer on the weekends, and we've also have stopped 24-hour airport rides because that wasn't as needed as well. So those two portions have already been stopped.
Okay.
So.
Okay, thank you.
I think we should go forward too. And I wonder, I can see this service really being heavily used by senior citizens. I wonder if that portion of the sales tax couldn't even be used for some of the
Yeah,
match.
I think, you can use general funds here. You could use, the portion of the 1 cent sales tax that is used for senior citizens. This also relates to visitation, so it's possible both the hospitality and the occupancy tax would be used. I think we could act on this tonight if you wanted to act favorably on it, not choose a funding source and just have Mr. Kessel and his staff come back at either the first or second meeting in July and recommend a funding source, the one that you think probably is most appropriate. But I'd say we have several alternatives here.
But we would still be able to cut the check before the June deadline and then worry about.
The
where-
check's not needed, excuse me.
You just need us to
Commissioner,
approve?
if I get the approval that it's committed is all I would need in June, and I did write that in the first bullet, number 1, under the first section for a time frame. It wouldn't be needed till fall of 2014 because the consultant company, we have to still write the scope, the RFP. Consultant company has to start working, and then we give them the money,
You
part of the
just-
match.
You just need the
So
commitment.
the commitment is what I would need today to go forward with the state of North Dakota.
Okay.
DOT.
So you don't need to pick a funding source just yet. I mean, this could even theoretically come out of the contingency.
Now, okay.
Okay, with that, it sounds like we're all leaning very favorably towards doing this. I think if that's the case, as I see it, we would just need a motion to be the local match of $37,500 towards this fixed route planning grant.
So moved, Mr. President.
Second.
We have the motion, the second. Is there more discussion? Hearing none, then we'll vote. Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mrs. Stuckert?
Aye.
Mr. Altman?
Aye.
Mr. Jackson?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. So the motion will carry, and we'll just ask that Mr. Kessel come back at a future meeting and with a recommendation of where this should be funded from.
Okay. Thank you
Okay.
so much, very much.
Okay, that completes the timetable agenda items, and I think we're still in engineering, and item B under engineering is task order amendments with KLJ. There appear to be 3 of them there, and Mr. Colling is going to introduce those items.
Thank you, Mr. President and Commissioners. There are 3 task order amendments that are presented for your consideration. All of these relate to street projects that the city is either currently constructing or planning to construct in the near future. 21st Street, State Avenue, and 10th Avenue West. For all of these projects, we did need to, and still do need to, acquire right-of-way in order to construct the projects. And we have asked KLJ to assist us in acquiring that right-of-way, developing the right-of-way plats, the legal descriptions for the parcels to be obtained, coordinating appraisals for those parcels when they are needed, and also making a contact with the landowners in order to negotiate hopefully a sale of that property with them. The task orders for 21st Street, the amendment is in the amount of $58,850. For State Avenue, it is in the amount of $64,500. And then for 10th Avenue, for that right-of-way work, the amendment is in the amount of $9,900. 21st Street and State Avenue are substantially more, mostly because of the cost of obtaining appraisals for parcels that either we need them for, such as the state-owned land, or parcels that we think we may not have a willing seller and may need to go another route in order to acquire that property. So that we can build the road. City staff does recommend and request approval of these task orders. These would be project costs for each of the projects indicated there. Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Colling. You've heard his introduction and recommendations. Are there any comments or questions? Okay, I'm assuming we take each of these individually. The first one, the 21st Street, I believe, is task order S1. This is amendment number 1. So if you're in favor of this, the motion would be to approve amendment number 1 for task order S1. Is that correct?
So moved.
We have the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have the motion second. Any discussion?
Mr. President, I'll abstain from these 3 items from voting.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we will vote. Mr. Altman?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mrs. Stuckert?
Aye.
Mr. Jackson is abstaining. The chair votes aye, and the motion carries. On the State Avenue project, this is task order S2, amendment number 1, so the motion is essentially the same. The motion is to approve amendment number 1 for task order S2.
Move to approve, Mr. President.
Second.
We have the motion, the second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mrs. Stuckert?
Aye.
Mr. Altman?
Aye.
Mr. Jackson abstains. The chair votes aye. Motion carries. So the 10th Avenue West, this would be an amendment to an existing contract. And I don't see a task order number on this one.
Mr. President, there is not a task order associated with this contract. The city did enter into the agreement with respect to 10th Avenue West just prior to the master task order agreement with KLJ. So I believe your motion would be to approve Amendment 2 to the engineer-owner agreement for 10th Avenue.
Okay. Would there be such a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve amendment number 2.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have the motion and the second. Is there any discussion? No discussion, we'll vote. Ms. Stuckert?
Aye.
Mr. Altman?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Jackson abstains. Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Okay, is there anything else before we get to city engineer reports? All right, Mr. Kubis, do you have any project updates?
President Johnson, Commission, I have 2 quick updates. One is a follow-up to a transportation RFP that we had sent out to consultants. We had 7 projects that we were hoping to get a consulting firm to help us design and move forward. Most of this would be for construction in next year. The projects were traffic counts at intersections, potential traffic signals at some of those intersections, making some corridor improvements with pavement marking, and then some special improvement districts in the Cook Meadow Hills subdivision for lighting, some street improvement districts in the Fisher's East Side subdivision, and then a street improvement district in the Westgate Industrial Park over by Dickinson Ready Mix. And the last project was for State Avenue improvements, safety improvements from some of the presentations that we've had from the landowners in the past with the vehicles running off the road. We did get proposals back in late May. We had received 9 proposals for the 7 projects, and a selection committee of 4 city staff had met here last week, and we just actually sent out letters to 5 firms awarding them projects. I'm hoping we can get scope and fee proposals back and hopefully bring some engineering agreements back on the July 7th meeting. But the 5 firms that won the projects were Civil Science, Westwood, Apex, Alteg, and KLJ. Some of the projects we had split up, a lot of the traffic work we split up between Civil Science and Westwood, and that would include the counts and some of the signal design. So we're really looking forward to working with these firms and getting some projects on the books for 2015. A lot of concerns that we hear from the citizens on some of these intersections. So we look forward to moving ahead with those projects. The other update I'd like to give quickly, we've talked about some of the street projects and the struggles that we've had with acquiring right-of-way, but it is, I think, worth noting that we do have a lot of construction happening right now. And just briefly, these are projects that are either under construction, have been awarded, or we've bid the projects. So we have the wastewater treatment plant, the influent pump station, the finished water pumping station, the West Gravity Sewer Project, lift station number 12, the Highway 10 lift station, the reclaimed water line, the West 24-inch dedicated water main, the East 24-inch dedicated water main, the West Pump Station, the 1 million gallon water tank, Empire Road, 10th Avenue West, and our citywide seal coat project. So there's a heck of a lot going on, even though we are working through some right-of-way issues on our street projects. And that's in addition to 2 considerable DOT projects that are under construction, our interim bypass and exit 56, all within town right now. So there's a lot going on. There's going to be a lot of work for city staff as all these projects start gearing up and we start getting pay requests and all the fun that comes with construction. So if you have any questions of me, I'd be happy to answer them.
Well, that's a lot of projects.
14 by my count.
14. Well, any comments or questions for the city engineer?
Mr. President, No questions. I was going to wait till after the meeting to bring this up, but I think the timing is right now. That I really think it's important that we take a look at projects that we've made the decision to move forward on for 2015 and get those assigned to engineering firms and give them the go-ahead. And it sounds like you're doing that for a number of things tonight. But if we have more that we need to identify, 2 summers ago we went through quite a process identifying our CIP projects. If we need to do that again, we should do it immediately. We've seen what right-of-way issues can bring, environmental issues, financing issues, all those things. And anything that we're going to do in 2015, we've got to kick off pretty darn quick here. So just piggybacking on Mr. Kubis's report.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Jackson. Any other comments?
Commissioner Jackson, right now we have 11 projects that I have on the 2015, not including the ones that Mr. Kubis mentioned. So we are starting to build that list, and we'll continue to do so. But it's good comment.
Yeah, those 11 projects, I don't know if we have engineering firms assigned, but if we don't, we should get them, and they should all get the go-ahead soon.
We do on half of them.
Okay, anything else? Well, then we'll move to Public Works, and Public Works Director Zuroff will give us his project updates.
President Johnson, Commission, I don't have any action items tonight or change orders, which I'm pleased to announce. Mr. Kubis did mention some of our projects. I did want to add a couple things. I'm hoping at our next commission meeting we'll have a pavement management presentation. They finished doing the field work and putting the numbers and all the streets together, so I'm hoping to bring that to the next commission. The water reclamation, the public works facility, and the influent pump station are getting down to, we're starting to have some startup and training on some generators and equipment this week. And for the next 2 to 3 weeks, actually, we'll have a lot of startup and training on equipment and different things at all 3 of those projects. We are looking at a ribbon cutting ceremony for the Public Works facility. Right now, I'm looking at maybe the second commission meeting in July. We're on that project. They're doing finishing the concrete paving now, and we have done some walkthroughs on the office and the animal shelter, so that project is going to be completed soon. As Mr. Kubis mentioned, the Seal Coat project is starting up. Next week they're going to start doing some patching, and we're going to try to include as many streets as we can, fix and repair as many streets as we can before we seal them. I believe that's all I have, President Johnson, unless you have questions about any other projects. One thing I did want to add, last Friday I did go to some of the, especially the sewer projects. I started at the water reclamation facility, went to the influent pump station, to the West Gravity lift station, to the Highway 10 lift station, out to the intersection of 116 and Highway 10, because that's where our vault is, going to be where South Hart and the refinery comes in. Then we drove up to lift station 12 and to lift station 14, which will be our next project we bid out. And it is amazing now that they're not individual projects, they're one. You can see the pipeline, you can see the activity, you can see the projects finally coming to fruition, and it was good to see that these projects are getting completed, and water reclamation facility being one of them that will probably do some initial startup within a month. Thank you, President Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Zoff. Are there comments or questions for our Public Works Director? All right, well then we're going to move on to tab 8, and that's community development, and we'll let Mr. Curtin, take us through the rezoning items there.
Mr. President, Commissioners, the first rezoning item we have tonight is a rezone from medium-density residential to limited commercial for a property situated at the northeast corner of 15th Street and Prairie Avenue. The Planning and Zoning Commission and city staff recommend approval contingent upon the one condition that's attached to the adopting ordinance. There's no change from the first reading, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Curtin. This is the second reading of ordinance 1552. If there's anyone from the public that would like to comment, you may do so now. Just come to the podium, state your name, and we'll hear your comments. Anyone that would like to comment on this proposed ordinance? There's no one from the public that would like to comment. Any comments or questions by commissioners?
I'll move we approve second reading, final passage of 1552.
Second.
We have the motion and the second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we will vote. Mr. Jackson?
Aye.
Mr. Altman?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mrs. Stuckert?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, so the motion carries.
Mr. President, the next rezoning item is a rezone from general commercial to downtown commercial for a property at the southwest corner of Highway 22 in Villard. The Planning Commission and city staff recommend approval. There's no change from the first reading, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Catan. This is ordinance number 1553, second reading. Anyone from the public that would like to comment, you may do so now. Come to the podium, state your name, and we'll hear your comments. Anyone from the public? No one from the public wishes to comment. Any comments, questions by commissioners? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve second reading of final passage of ordinance 1553.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have the motion and the second. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mrs. Stuckert?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Jackson?
Aye.
Mr. Altman?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries.
The next item is an amendment to the urban service boundary map as part of the 2035 Dickinson Comprehensive Plan. The property is approximately 280 acres. It's located westerly of the existing city limits and to the west of the business loop. Planning Commission and city staff recommend approval. There's no change from the first reading. Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Catan. This is second reading of ordinance 1554. If there's anyone from the public that would like to comment, you may do so now. Come to the podium, state your name, and we'll hear your comments. Anyone from the public? There's no one from the public that wishes to comment. Any comments or questions by commissioners? Not.
Move to approve second reading, final pass the ordinance 1554.
I'll second.
We have the motion and the second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Jackson?
Aye.
Mr. Altman?
Aye.
Mrs. Stuckert?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, so the motion carries.
The next item is a final plat for the Pinecrest Common subdivision. This consists of 22 large-scale lots and several small lots that would be further segregated in future phases. Access is provided via 30th Avenue West and 21st Street. Block 2, Lot 2 will be dedicated to the city for the 1 million gallon water storage facility that's located off of 21st Street. That will serve the general vicinity for this project and in others as well. Planning and Zoning Commission recommend approval, and I'm available if you have any questions, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Catan. Mr. Colon, is this number 37?
Yes, Mr. President, 37-2014.
Okay. You've heard Mr. Catan's introduction. Are there any comments or questions? Would there be a motion regarding Resolution 37?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 37-2014.
Second.
We have the motion and the second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mrs. Stuckert?
Aye.
Mr. Altman?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Jackson?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries.
Mr. President, the last item I have is an update of the building permit activity report for the month ending of May. I'll just highlight some of the categories for you. We're starting to lag behind last year. I think that due to our late start that we've had in some of the construction, I think it's slowly catching up with respect to it in certain sectors. Under commercial structures, we've had 15 issued this year compared to 22 of last year. Single-family structures, we've issued 76 building permits compared to 95 of last year. Multifamily housing, if you follow down a little bit on the table, we're exactly the same as where we were last year at 168. I think is very ironic, but exact same total that we've had for the last 2 months. We do have several multifamily projects that are about ready to be issued, so those totals will increase, should increase for the month of June. Total housing units are 244 compared to 263 from last year. And the new building permit revenues, 104 million compared to 151 from last year, 31% reduction. So with that, I'll give you some indication of where we're at this year. The demand is still high. My phone is still ringing. I'm still having meetings as other department heads are as well. Some of these projects are just taking a little bit longer than we anticipated, but I would feel that probably in the next month I'll have a pretty good feel of where we'll be at, if we'll be on the projections that I anticipated earlier part of this year, or we'll be a little bit behind.
Okay, thank you. Are there questions or comments for Mr. Cretan?
One quick one. If you drive around town, you see lots of apartments at various stages of construction. Do you have any idea how many units are under construction right now that are not yet occupied? Is there any way to get a handle on that?
I'd have to go back and look at them. I mean, like Sierra Ridge, how many do we permit? I think we permitted.
Well, you don't have to do it now, but
yes, we're
No,
getting
maybe-
close. We're getting close. Multiple hundreds at this point that will be online. I mean, I feel very confident to say that adding that one and some in Cook Meadow Hills, we're looking at 400 to 500 units that.
That's the number
could be
that would
on
be
in the
interesting
next
to
couple
know.
months.
In other words, by fall, probably.
Absolutely.
There will be that many units, additional units on the market.
Absolutely, yes.
Could we take a look at that maybe for
Sure.
next meeting and see if we can?
Yes, I could follow up and just, I mean, I drive around each week and I could just note the ones that are under construction and just check on those. So I would say we'd be at least 500, maybe close to 600. And the more I think about it, because you have West Ridge as well, and they have a 4-story apartment complex that will be coming online in the next month or so.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions for Mr. Cretan? Okay, I'm going to skip past commission comments and come back to that and ask, is there anyone from the public that would like to address the commission? If so, you can come to the podium, state your name, we'll hear your comments. Anyone from the public? Okay, there's no one from the public. We'll go back then to commission. Are there any comments or issues by commissioners? I think Mr. Kessel has a presentation that he would like to make on behalf of the city, both the staff and the commission.
Thank you, President Johnson. We just wanted to say thank you to Commissioner Dukart for her service on this board. She's brought a great sense of compassion, and I know she listens to the public because she tells me about the calls she gets. It's wonderful to have a female on our board. We will miss that. And so we have a plaque for you, and I'll just read it if I could. In appreciation to Shirley Dukart for the services to the City of Dickinson as City Commissioner 2008 to 2010, and then again on 2012 to 2014, best wishes and a heartfelt thanks for a job well done.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you to the public for, it's been an honor to serve you and a very big commitment. I've loved this commission. I can voice my opinion. I can vote no whenever I want to. And we don't always agree, but we all have our own opinions. And that's what is the best part of being a commissioner, because you have to listen to the public, whether you want to or not. And I really did respect their opinions. Even when they call me at 10 o'clock at night and tell me to cut or why aren't the cemeteries being cut? They don't realize that we don't have that much control here, but we do try and do a good job. Try not to spend too much money. I just made a comment to Sean earlier. I said, wow, are we spending money tonight? But that's part of being here and keeping Dickinson moving forward. And once again, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stuckert, and we do wish you the very best. We know you'll stay involved with the city, and again, I think I can speak for all the commissioners. We appreciate your service here and your dedication.
Thank you. I'm leaving it in good hands, another relative coming forward.
All right, is there anything else? Then the chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second? We have the motion and the second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries.